The ship moved slowly through the darkness of space. It was not the fastest ship. It was not the biggest ship. But it carried something important. It carried hope. Ambassador Una Park stood at the viewing window and watched the massive station grow larger. The Galactic Assembly Station was bigger than anything humans had ever built. It floated near a pale yellow star, spinning slowly like a metal flower in the void. Thousands of alien ships surrounded it. Ships of all shapes and sizes. Ships that made the human vessel look like a small fish swimming with whales. "We are being scanned," said Hannah Choi from her station. She was the tactical officer, a woman with sharp eyes and steady hands. 17 different scanning systems. They are looking at everything. Our weapons. Our engines. Our bodies. Admiral Tai-Ho Kim stood with his arms crossed. He was an older man with gray at his temples and scars on his knuckles. He had fought in 3 wars on Earth before humans ever reached the stars. "Let them look," he said. "We have nothing to hide." The truth was different. Humans had many things to hide. But Tai-Ho knew that showing fear was worse than showing weakness. The ship docked with a soft tremor. Una straightened her uniform and looked at her team. There was Tai-Ho, with his military calm. There was Hannah with her careful eyes. There was Sun Woo Lee, the chief scientist, a thin man who looked like he had not slept in years. His mind was sharper than any blade. "Remember," Una said, "we are here to make friends. Smile. Be polite. Do not start any wars." "No promises," Tai-Ho said. But he almost smiled. The doors opened, and they stepped into the Galactic Assembly Station. The air smelled strange. It was filtered and recycled by machines that were older than human civilization. The corridors were wide and tall, built for creatures much larger than humans. Lights of different colors lined the walls, each one tuned to the eyes of different species. Aliens walked past them. Some had too many legs. Some had no legs at all. Some floated. Some crawled. Some moved in ways that made Una's brain hurt to watch. A tall creature made of living crystal approached them. It was a Vellani, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. Its body was sharp and beautiful, like a sculpture made of glass and light. When it spoke, its voice rang like bells. "You are the humans," it said. It was not a question. "We are," Una replied. "I am Ambassador Park. We come in peace and friendship." The Vellani made a sound. It took Una a moment to realize it was laughing. "Peace and friendship," it repeated. "How sweet. Follow me." The council is waiting. Council chamber was enormous. It was round, with seats arranged in rising circles around a central platform. Hundreds of aliens filled the seats. They whispered and pointed at the humans as they walked to the center. 12 seats sat higher than the others. These belonged to the elder species, the founders of the Galactic Council. They had ruled the galaxy for 8,000 years. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had watched stars die. The High Speaker was a Vellani named Oris. It was taller than the others, and its crystal body glowed with a soft blue light. When it spoke, the entire chamber fell silent. "So," Oris said, "these are the humans?" A massive screen appeared in the air. It showed human biology in brutal detail. Bones that could break. Skin that could tear. Organs that could fail. A lifespan of barely 100 years. "Observe," Oris continued. "They cannot survive in vacuum. They cannot breathe underwater. They cannot see in darkness. They require sleep for a third of their lives. They have no natural weapons. No claws, no venom, no armor." Laughter spread through the chamber. Different species laughed in different ways. Some howled, some clicked, some vibrated, but they all laughed. "They come from a single small planet," Oris said. "A world of water and dirt. They have only traveled among the stars for 200 years. They are infants, babies crawling in the dark." More laughter. Una felt her face grow hot. Beside her, she felt Tai-Ho's muscles tense. Hannah's hand moved slightly toward where her weapon would be if she had been allowed to carry one. But Una did not react. She had expected this. Humans were new. Humans were weak. Humans were nothing compared to species that had conquered the stars when Earth was still covered in ice. Oris leaned forward. Its crystal face had no expression, but its voice dripped with amusement. "Tell me, little human, why should we allow your species to join the Galactic Council? What can you possibly offer us?" The chamber fell quiet. "Every alien I turned to YUN," she took a breath. Then she smiled. "Give us one standard cycle," she said. "One cycle to prove our worth. If we fail to impress you, we will leave and never return. But if we succeed, you will give us a seat on this council." Oris tilted its head. "You are confident for such a fragile creature." "Confidence is free," Una replied. "It costs nothing to believe in yourself." The council members whispered among themselves. Finally, Oris raised a crystalline hand. "Very well," it said. "We grant you one cycle. 14 of your Earth days. Prove your worth, little humans. Entertain us," laughter returned. Louder this time. Una bowed politely. She turned and walked out of the chamber with her team. She did not look back. She did not let them see her hand shake. When the doors closed behind them, Taiho spoke quietly. "They think we are a joke." "Yes," Eunice said. "They will regret that," Hannah added. Sun Wuli had been silent the entire time. Now he looked up, his tired eyes showing something cold. "Let them laugh," he said. "Laughter makes people careless, and careless people always lose," Una nodded. She looked back at the closed doors of the council chamber. 14 days, she whispered. "Let us show them what humans can do." None of them knew that in 3 days, everything would change. None of them knew that the galaxy was about to face its greatest nightmare. And none of them knew that the creatures they had just been laughing at would be the only thing standing between the council and total destruction. The clock had started, and humanity was ready. 3 days passed. The aliens continued to laugh. They watched the humans like people watch animals in a zoo. They pointed. They whispered. They made jokes about the soft pink creatures who needed air to breathe and food to eat. Una ignored them. She spent her time meeting with minor species, building small friendships that no one noticed. Taiho studied the station's defense systems, noting every weakness. Sunwoo buried himself in the station's library, reading everything he could about the galaxy's history. Hannah watched everything and everyone, her sharp eyes missing nothing. On the 3rd night, the alarms began. Una was in her quarters when the sound cut through the air. It was a deep, pulsing tone that made her bones vibrate. Red lights flashed in the corridors. The station itself seemed to shake with fear. She ran to the command deck of their ship. Taiho was already there, standing before a massive display screen. His face was pale. "What is happening?" Una asked. Taiho did not answer. He just pointed at the screen. Una looked. At first, she did not understand what she was seeing. It looked like a cloud. A dark cloud moving through space. But clouds did not move in space. And clouds did not have millions of glowing red eyes. "What is that?" she whispered. "The hollow swarm," Sunwoo said. He had appeared behind them, his thin face tight with concentration. "I read about it in the archives. 8,000 years ago, it consumed 17 civilizations, entire planets. Entire species, gone, eaten. The original council members supposedly destroyed it," supposedly Hannah repeated. "They failed," Sunwoo said simply. "It survived, and now it is back." The numbers appeared on the screen. The swarm contained approximately 3 billion individual creatures. Each one was the size of a small ship. Each one could tear through metal like paper. Together, they were a wave of death that had no mind, no soul, no mercy. They simply consumed. They ate and never stopped. The station erupted into chaos. Una ran to the main observation deck. What she saw there made her heart sink. The Villani were leaving. Their beautiful crystal ships detached from the station and flew away at maximum speed. They did not look back. They did not offer help. They simply ran. The Mordai, the insectoid telepaths, had fallen into panic. Their hive minds were overwhelmed by fear. They stumbled through the corridors, clicking and screaming, unable to think clearly. Some of them simply collapsed and stopped moving entirely. The talic beings, made of pure energy, flickered and dimmed. Their forms became unstable. They were so afraid that they were literally falling apart. Oris, the High Speaker, pushed past Yuna without even seeing her. The great crystal being was running. Running like a child running from the dark. 14 cycles, Taiho said quietly. He had joined Yuna on the observation deck. That is how long until the swarm reaches the station. And the council? Yuna asked. Gone. Every elder species is evacuating to their home systems. They are abandoning the station. Abandoning each other. Ah! Taiho's voice was cold. 8,000 years of civilization, and they run at the first sign of danger. Hannah appeared next to them. Her eyes were hard. Sir, they are not going to fight. None of them. They are going to let the swarm consume everything in its path. Yuna watched the alien ships scatter like insects. Thousands of them. Millions of lives fleeing in every direction. No coordination. No plan. Just blind, stupid terror. They called us weak, she said softly. They laughed at us because we are small and fragile and afraid. They were right about one thing, Taiho said. We are afraid. Yuna looked at him. But we are not running. Taiho met her eyes. Something passed between them. An understanding. A decision. No, he said. We are not. He turned and walked to the communication station. His fingers moved across the controls. A channel opened. A signal shot across space, faster than light, reaching toward a small blue planet far away. This is Admiral Kim of the UES Horizon, he said. His voice was steady, calm, the voice of a man who had made peace with death long ago. I am declaring a code black emergency. The hollow swarm has returned. Estimated strength, 3 billion entities. The Galactic Council has abandoned their posts. They are running. He paused. When he spoke again, his voice was harder. Humanity will not run. Activate Protocol Remnant. Contact every colony, every station, every ship. Tell them what is coming. Tell them we need everyone. Every soldier, every pilot, every scientist, every single human being who can hold a weapon or fly a ship. They took a breath. The galaxy thinks we are weak. The galaxy thinks we are nothing. Today, we prove them wrong. Today, humanity goes to war. He ended the transmission. The bridge was silent. Yuna, Hannah, and Sunwoo stared at him. Protocol Remnant, Yuna said. I thought that was just a rumor. A story to scare our enemies. Taiho shook his head. It is real. For 200 years, while we smiled and played friendly, we have been preparing hidden bases, secret factories, ships that the galaxy has never seen, weapons that the galaxy cannot imagine. He looked out at the fleeing alien vessels. I think they know us. They think we are soft little creatures from a soft little world. They are wrong. We are the children of a planet that tried to kill us every single day. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues. We survived ourselves. We have been fighting since before we could stand upright. Sunwoo stepped forward. His tired eyes had a new light in them. I need access to the station's weapon systems. Their technology, everything. I have ideas. You will have it, Taiho said. Hannah checked her weapon. What do you need from me, Admiral? Start planning. The swarm is big. It is mindless. That means it has patterns. Find them. Find weaknesses. Find anything we can use. Yes, sir. Yuna walked to the window. Outside, the last alien ships were disappearing. The station was nearly empty now. Only the humans remained. 14 cycles, she said. 14 cycles to save a galaxy that laughed at us. Taiho stood beside her. We have faced worse odds. Have we? The Admiral almost smiled. No, but that has never stopped us before. Far away, across the darkness of space, the swarm moved closer. 3 billion mouths. 3 billion hungers. an ancient evil that had devoured civilizations. It did not know what was waiting for it. It did not know about humans. Soon it would learn. The first human ships arrived within 2 days. They came through jump gates that no one knew existed. They emerged from hidden stations behind moons and inside asteroid fields. They appeared from the dark spaces between stars where no one thought to look. Yuna stood on the observation deck and watched them arrive. Her mouth fell open. Hundreds of ships. Then thousands. Then more than she could count. Big ships. Small ships. Military cruisers and civilian transports. Mining vessels with their drilling equipment converted into weapons. Generation ships that had been traveling through space for over a century, their crews ready to fight. The Talic ambassador, a being named Elin, had stayed behind when its people fled. Now it floated beside Yuna, its energy form flickering with confusion. "This is impossible," Elin said. "Our records show only one human world. One planet. A few small colonies on nearby moons." Yuna smiled. "Your records are 200 years out of date, but how? Where did all these ships come from?" "We spread," Yuna said simply. Quietly, carefully. "While your council watched our home planet and laughed at our weakness. We were building, preparing. We sent ships in every direction. We hid bases in places no one would think to look. We knew that someday something would come for us. We wanted to be ready. You expected this? We expected something. We have learned, Ambassador. In our history, every time we thought we were safe, something came to kill us. Predators, disease, natural disasters, other humans. We learned to never stop preparing for the worst." Elin's form flickered faster. "Among its kind, this was a sign of deep distress. You are more dangerous than we realized," Yuna agreed. "We are." Below them, the human fleet arranged itself into battle formations. Orders flew between ships. Crews ran through drills. Engineers tested weapons. Pilots memorized attack patterns. And in a small laboratory aboard the station, Sun Huli was building something terrible. The scientist had not slept in 40 hours. His eyes were red. His hands shook slightly. But his mind was clear. Clearer than it had ever been. Hannah found him surrounded by holographic displays and scattered tools. "What are you building?" Sunwoo looked up. His smile was not pleasant. "The swarm uses gravity to hold itself together. Each creature has a small gravitational field. Together, they form a massive web of attraction. It keeps them coordinated. It helps them move as one. So I am building a device that will turn that gravity against them." He pointed at a strange machine on his workbench. It looked like a metal sphere covered in wires and crystals. When activated, this will multiply their gravitational pull by a factor of 10,000. They will be crushed by their own weight, pulled into themselves, compressed until they collapse. Anna stared at the device. "You built this in 2 days?" "I built the theory in 2 hours. The rest was just engineering." Sunwoo shrugged. "Humans have been killing things bigger than us since we fought mammoths with pointed sticks. This is just the same principle with better tools." Hana shook her head slowly. "You are a terrifying person, Sunwoo." "Thank you." On the command deck, Taiho was reviewing battle plans with his officers when a young lieutenant approached. Her name was Jisoo Kung. She was 26 years old, with short black hair and calm eyes. "Admiral," she said, "I have studied the swarm's movement patterns. There is a central mass, a core, where the density is highest. If we could plant beacon devices there, Dr. Lee's gravity weapons would be much more effective." Taiho looked at her. "Planting beacons in the center of the swarm would be a suicide mission. No one who goes in would come out." "I know, sir. You are volunteering." "Yes, sir." Taiho was quiet for a long moment. "You understand what you are asking." "I understand." Sue's voice did not waver. "Someone has to do it. I would rather it be me than someone with a family waiting for them." Taiho studied her face. He had seen courage before. Real courage. Not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. He saw it in her eyes now. "I will not order anyone to take this mission," he said. "I need volunteers only." Jisoo nodded. She turned to leave. Lieutenant Taiho called after her. How many volunteers do you think we will get? Jisoo paused at the door. For a chance to save humanity, sir? All of them. Every single one. She was almost right. The call for volunteers went out across the human fleet. The mission was explained in full. No secrets. No false hope. Anyone who went into the heart of the swarm would not come back. Within 1 hour, 43,000 people volunteered. Taiho read the number 3 times. He had expected hundreds. Maybe 1,000. Not 43,000. He thought about what Yuna had said to the council. About what made humans different. They had not evolved past fear. They still felt it. Every single volunteer was afraid. He knew that. They knew that. They volunteered anyway. Elin appeared beside him. Its energy formed dim with confusion. I do not understand. They know they will die. Why do they volunteer? Taiho considered the question. Because someone has to. Because if they do not, everyone dies. Because humans would rather die fighting than live running. That is insane. Perhaps. But it is also why we are still here. Why we survived when we should have died 1,000 times? We are too stubborn to give up. Too angry to surrender. Too proud to let the universe win. Elin flickered silently. You asked Ambassador Park why humans should join your council. Taiho continued. This is why. Not because we are strong. Not because we are smart. Because when everything falls apart, when every other species runs away, we stay. We fight, we die if we must. But we never ever give up. He turned to face the alien directly. The swarm has consumed 17 civilizations. Ancient species. Powerful species. Species that had technologies we cannot imagine. They all fell. Do you know why? Elon did not answer. They forgot how to be afraid. They forgot how to struggle. They became soft, comfortable. When danger came, they had forgotten how to fight. Taiho's eyes were cold. Humans never forgot. We fight every day. Against the universe, against each other, against ourselves. We are never comfortable. We are never safe. And that is our greatest strength. He looked out at his fleet. Thousands of ships crewed by millions of humans. All of them afraid. All of them ready. Let the swarm come, he said. We will teach it what happens when you threaten humanity. The swarm arrived on the 14th day. It blocked out the stars. A wall of darkness spread across space, blotting out the light. 3 billion creatures, each one hungry, each one mindless, each one driven by a single purpose, consume. From a distance, it looked like a living storm. Up close, it was worse. Each creature was a nightmare of teeth and claws and tentacles. They had no eyes, because they did not need to see. They sensed heat and movement and life. They smelled fear. They had destroyed 17 civilizations. They had eaten worlds. They had ended species that had existed for millions of years. They had never faced humans before. Admiral Taiho stood on the bridge of his flagship. The U's dawn around him. His crew moved with quiet efficiency. No panic. No hesitation. They had trained for this. They had prepared for this. All ships, Taiho said into the fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Kim. Today we fight not just for humanity, but for every species in this galaxy. The council ran. We stayed. That is who we are. That is what makes us human. He paused. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. Some of us will not survive this day. I will not lie to you. But if we fall fighting. We fall protecting. We fall as humans should, standing between the darkness and everything it wants to destroy. He took a breath. All ships engage. The human fleet surged forward. The battle was not elegant. It was not beautiful. It was brutal and ugly and desperate. Human ships dove into the swarm like wolves attacking a herd. They fired everything they had. Missiles and lasers and kinetic rounds. They did not aim for individual creatures. They aimed for clusters, for masses. For anything that moved, the swarm fought back. Creatures latched onto ships and tore through holes with their claws. They smashed through windows and crawled inside, killing everything they touched. They were mindless, but not stupid. They adapted. They learned, but so did humans. When traditional weapons failed, humans improvised. Engineering teams vented plasma directly into swarm creatures that had breached their ships. Pilots flew damaged vessels into the thickest parts of the swarm and ejected at the last moment, letting their exploding ships take thousands of creatures with them. One crew, trapped and surrounded, overloaded their reactor and created a small sun that vaporized everything within 1,000 kilometers. Taiho's flagship was hit early in the battle. A massive swarm creature crashed through the port side, and dozens of smaller ones poured through the breach. Alarms screamed. Crew members ran for weapons. Taiho did not retreat to safety. He grabbed a fire axe from the emergency kit and walked toward the breach.
"Admiral!"
Hannah called out. "What are you doing?" "My job," he said. He met the first creature in the corridor. It was 3 meters tall, all claws and teeth. It lunged at him. He swung the axe. The creature fell. More came. He kept swinging. Other crew joined him. They fought with axes and pipes and their bare hands when nothing else was available. They used emergency flares to blind the creatures. They used fire extinguishers to freeze them. They used everything they had. When the last creature on the ship was dead, Taiho was covered in blood. Some of it was his own. Most of it was not. "Damage report," he said calmly, as if he had not just fought monsters with a hand tool. "Hull breaches sealed. Weapons at 60%. Engines at 40%. Good enough. Get us back in the fight." Meanwhile, deep in the heart of the swarm, Lieutenant Jisoo Kong led her team toward the center. They had lost half their number getting this far. Their ships were barely holding together. The creatures surrounded them on all sides. Every second, more died. But Jisoo did not stop. She reached the central mass, the dense core where the swarm's coordination was strongest. The beacon devices were heavy in her hands. She planted the first one, then the second, then the third. A claw tore through her suit. She felt cold air rush out. She felt pain. She planted the fourth beacon. Her ship's systems were failing. Her crew was gone. She was alone in the heart of darkness, surrounded by millions of hungry mouths. She activated the beacons. "Beacons active," she said into her com. Her voice was steady. "All beacons active.
Do it."
Do it now." Far away, Sun Wu Li watched the signal appear on his screen. His hands moved to the controls of his gravity weapon. "I am sorry," he whispered. He activated the device. Inside the swarm, gravity went insane. The creatures were suddenly pulled toward each other with impossible force. They collided. They crushed. They compressed. Millions of them were smashed together into dense balls of dead flesh. The central mass collapsed in on itself like a dying star. Jisoo Kong's final transmission was recorded by the fleet. She said, "Tell my mother I was not scared." The biosensors on her suit showed her heart rate at 190 beats per minute. She was terrified. She had been terrified the entire time. She did it anyway. The gravity weapon was devastating, but it was not enough. The swarm was too large. Even with millions dead, billions remained. That was when Minho Beek made his choice. Minho was not a soldier. He was a civilian cargo pilot. He was 53 years old with a bad knee and a love for old music. He had volunteered to deliver supplies to the front lines, nothing more. But his ship was loaded with antimatter charges, and he was close to the swarm's remaining intelligence node, the cluster of creatures that directed the others. He looked at the node. He looked at his ship's cargo. He did the math. "Control," he said into the com. "This is cargo vessel Songbird. I am making an unscheduled delivery." "Songbird, what are you doing?" "That course takes you directly into the I know," Minho smiled. He thought about his daughter. He thought about his home. He thought about all the people who would live if he did this. "Humanity sends its regards." He flew the Songbird directly into the intelligence node. The antimatter detonated. The explosion was visible from 1,000 light-years away. A second sun was born and died in the space of a heartbeat. The swarm's coordination shattered. Without the intelligence node, the creatures became confused, attacking each other. Flying in random directions, easy targets. The human fleet did not hesitate. They pressed their advantage. They hunted down every last creature. The battle lasted 11 hours. When it was over, the hollow swarm, which had consumed 17 civilizations, which had ended species that had existed since before Earth had life, which had been the greatest terror the galaxy had ever known, was gone, destroyed by a species that had only reached the stars 200 years ago. Human losses, 847 ships, 12,000 lives. Not one human retreated, not one. 1 week passed. The Galactic Assembly Station was quiet. The corridors that had been filled with fleeing aliens were now empty. The great chambers that had echoed with laughter were silent. The screens that had displayed human weakness now showed something else. They showed the battle. Every species in the galaxy watched the recordings. They saw human ships charge into the swarm without hesitation. They saw crews fight with hand tools when their weapons failed. They saw volunteers fly to certain death with smiles on their faces. They saw a cargo pilot say humanity sends its regards, turn himself into a bomb. They watched it again and again, and they did not laugh. The council members returned slowly. One by one, their ships came back to the station. The Villani, the Mordai, the Talic, all 12 elder species. Creeping back like children who had run from a storm and were now ashamed. The council chamber was fuller than it had ever been. Not just the elder species, but representatives from hundreds of other civilizations. They all wanted to see the humans. They all wanted to understand. Unipark stood at the center of the chamber. She was tired. There were dark circles under her eyes. She had not slept more than a few hours since the battle ended. Beside her stood Taiho, his hands still bandaged from the fight on his ship. Sunwoo was there too, pale and thin, looking like a ghost. Hannah stood behind them, her eyes watching everything, always watching. High Speaker Oris entered the chamber last, the great crystal being moved slowly. It seemed smaller somehow. Diminished, it walked to the center, where Yuna stood. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Oris did something that no Villani had done in recorded history. It knelt. A gasp rippled through the chamber. The Villani were proud creatures. They had never bowed to anyone. They considered themselves above such gestures. For Oris to kneel before a human was unthinkable, yet it knelt. "We laughed at you," Oris said. Its voice was quiet now, broken. "We displayed your biology like a joke. We mocked your fragility. Your short lives, your need for sleep and food and air." It looked up at Yuna, with eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. We did not understand. We thought weakness was something to be overcome. We thought strength meant being beyond fear, beyond pain, beyond death. We evolved past our limitations. We became eternal, immortal, perfect. Oris paused. And in becoming perfect, we forgot how to fight. We forgot how to struggle. We forgot what it meant to face death and choose to stand anyway. When the swarm came, we ran. We, who had ruled the galaxy for 8,000 years, we ran like frightened animals. Its crystal form seemed to tremble. But you did not run. You, the weakest species we had ever seen. You who cannot survive in vacuum. You who die of old age before we have finished a single thought. You stayed. You fought. You died. Oris's voice cracked. 12,000 of you. 12,000 lives given freely to save a galaxy that had laughed at you. How? Why? We cannot understand it. We have tried, and we cannot. Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke. "You asked me once what humans could offer the Council. What we could contribute to a galaxy of ancient, powerful species. I did not answer then. Let me answer now." She gestured, and a hologram appeared. Names. Thousands of names scrolling across the air. The names of every human who had died in the battle. This is what we offer. Not technology, not wealth, not power. We offer this. The knowledge that when everything falls apart, and hope is gone and death is certain, there will be one species that does not run. One species that stands between the darkness and the light. One species that will fight until its last breath and then keep fighting anyway. She looked around the chamber at the assembled aliens. You became gods. You transcended mortality. You conquered death itself. And in doing so, you lost something precious. You lost the ability to sacrifice. You lost the understanding that some things are worth dying for. Taiho stepped forward. His voice was rough. Lieutenant Jisukong was 26 years old. She flew into the heart of the swarm knowing she would never come out. Her last words were that she was not scared. That was a lie. She was terrified. But she went anyway, because she knew that if she did not, millions would die. His voice was quiet but carried through the entire chamber. Minho Beek was a cargo pilot, a civilian. He had no training for combat. But when he saw a chance to end the battle, he took it. He said 4 words before he died. Humanity sends its regards. He was smiling when he said it. Hana did not speak. She simply displayed another image. The crew of a ship called the Morning Star. They had been surrounded, trapped, doomed. Instead of surrendering, they overloaded their reactor and took 10,000 swarm creatures with them. The youngest was 19 years old. Yuna looked at Oris. We did not come here to impress you. We did not come here to beg for acceptance. We came here because the galaxy is dark and dangerous and full of things that want to kill us. We have known that since we first looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there. She paused. The question was never whether you would accept us. The question was whether you could keep up. The chamber was silent. No whispers. No movement, nothing. Yuna continued. You can give us a seat on your council if you want. You can reject us. It does not matter. We are here now. We are part of this galaxy. And we will protect it, whether you ask us to or not, because that is what humans do. We protect. We fight. We die if we must. But we never stop. She turned to leave. The other humans followed her at the door. She stopped and looked back. 8,000 years ago, you thought you destroyed the swarm. You were wrong. You just delayed it. The next time something like this comes, and there will be a next time, ask yourselves, do you want humans fighting beside you, or do you want to face it alone? She walked out. The council remained frozen. The elder species, who had ruled the galaxy since before humans existed, sat in complete silence. Oris rose slowly. It looked at the other council members. None of them could meet its eyes. Finally, the High Speaker spoke. Prepare a seat for the human delegation, it said. The highest seat? Beside my own, no one argued. For the first time in 8,000 years, the Galactic Council had nothing to say, and in that silence humanity took its place among the stars. Not as the strongest species. Not as the smartest or the oldest or the most advanced, but as something else. Something the galaxy had never seen before. The ones who refused to give up. The ones who would not run. The ones who made the gods fall silent. Humans.